The year was 1962. The world was living through the tensest and darkest days of the Cold War. But that year, a military operation was launched, one that remains hidden in the dusty shelves of history, with questions that the establishment still refuses to answer. The United States military pushed the button on a massive project concealed from the civilian world, Operation Fishbowl. This wasn't an ordinary missile test or a standard show of force. The target they were trying to hit wasn't an enemy capital, a military base, or an army. The target was the sky itself. They sent massive nuclear bombs to the uppermost layers of the atmosphere, to the very edge where space is said to begin. But why would an army want to bomb the sky? Why name a military operation Fishbowl? If you are inside a fishbowl and you want to get out, the first thing you do is break the glass. Was Operation Fishbowl the greatest prison break attempt in human history, or was it a boundary test? Today, we will peel back the layers of what the mainstream media calls a simple high-altitude nuclear test to reveal the neural hijack realities behind it, why the sky caught fire, and we will examine the walls of our reality using declassified documents. The most famous and terrifying stage of the operation was the Starfish Prime test. A Thor rocket, launched from Johnston Atoll in the Pacific Ocean, carried a 1.4 megaton nuclear warhead to an altitude of exactly 400 kilometers. This is the same altitude where the International Space Station drifts today. When the button was pushed in the dead of night, what happened over the Pacific wasn't a natural phenomenon, it was a cataclysm of godlike proportions. In an instant, the night vanished. A sun rose in the middle of the night over the skies of Honolulu. The sky turned a brilliant white, then blood red, and finally a neon green. This was the largest dose of visual heroin ever administered to the Earth at that time. Millions of people were mesmerized, staring at this artificial dawn. But behind this glittering show lay a professional manipulation designed to hide the system's true intent. The resulting massive electromagnetic pulse, EMP, blew out streetlights 1,500 kilometers away in Hawaii, severed telephone lines, and paralyzed electronic systems. Scientists were stunned. They hadn't predicted that a blast at such high altitude would strike the Earth so hard. Or had they? Secret reports whispered that these bombs were dropped to crack an impassable magnetic wall or an electrical shield at the top of the atmosphere. At this point, we must return to the diaries of Admiral Richard Byrd. When Byrd spoke of those vast lands beyond the ice, was he telling us that we had reached the end of a physical boundary? Conspiracy theorists and independent researchers claim that Operation Fishbowl was conducted to test the skyward continuation of that impassable ice wall. Byrd discovered at the poles a firmament, or a guk kube. If the world is a closed system, if this area we live in is a giant fishbowl, then these bombs were nuclear sledgehammers thrown to break the glass and see what lies outside. The name of the operation cannot be a coincidence. Was the name Fishbowl a way for those who knew the truth that this world is surrounded by a boundary to mock the public? Did the nuclear bombs fail to pierce the dome? Or did they realize that the sky is actually a giant hologram, used as a neural hijack device to keep our minds locked into a specific frequency? The darker side of this story is the silence that followed. The United States and the Soviet Union abruptly changed the rules of the space race after these high-altitude nuclear tests. With the Outer Space Treaty signed in 1967, space was suddenly declared a forbidden zone. Just as the Antarctic Treaty prohibited passage beyond the ice, the sky was plunged into a military silence. What did they find that scared them so much? Did a crack form somewhere in the sky as a result of the nuclear explosions? Or was that artificial radiation belt they created with Starfish Prime designed to tether us more tightly inside the system? This is where the loneliness economy comes into play. The powers that surrounded the sky with nuclear bombs in those years surround us with digital walls today. The disconnection of people from physical reality, the dissolution of communities, and the imprisonment of everyone in their own digital cells is not a coincidence. They isolate you because a lonely person, instead of lifting their head to look for that great crack in the sky, settles for the fake glimmers inside the screen in their hand. Your mind is under a constant neural hijack through short videos, endless scrolling, and dopamine traps. This is the modern version of Operation Fishbowl. Those who tested physical boundaries by throwing bombs at the sky then are testing your mental boundaries with algorithms now. The nuclear curtain drawn between you and the real world is now woven with pixels and social media illusions. No one asks anymore, why did the sky turn blood red? Or where is the outside of the fishbowl? Everyone is busy taking their prescribed dose of visual heroin, yet that artificial aurora that formed over Hawaii during the Starfish Prime blast proved one thing to us. Above us, there is an electrical and magnetic structure far different from what we are told. This structure was perhaps a massive frequency generator that keeps our souls in this dimension, and we tried to shut it down or break it with nuclear weapons. Operation Fishbowl was not a failure. It was a massive data collection operation for the owners of the system. The moment they realized the sky could not be pierced and the glass of the fishbowl could not be broken, even with nuclear weapons, they changed their strategy. They no longer needed to keep us inside with a physical dome because they imprisoned us from within, using digital domes built into our minds. Thanks to the loneliness economy, they built an invisible wall around everyone. While you look at your phone, you are actually swimming inside your own private fishbowl. The path to those free lands Admiral Byrd called territories beyond the poles starts first by breaking this neural hijack in our minds. The sky is still there. The secrets are still hidden in the depths of those clouds and the atmosphere, but we are so busy with digital content that muddies the water of the fishbowl that we cannot see the crack above. Before ending this video, ask yourself this. Why did humanity go so far as to bomb the sky with nuclear weapons in the 1,960 seconds and then suddenly stop? Why hasn't a human been sent to deep space in a real sense since that day? Maybe they proved the existence of the dome that day. Maybe they realized that the way out is not through nuclear bombs, but through the awakening of consciousness. The legacy of Operation Fishbowl lives on today on the screen of the phone in your pocket. As your neurons are hijacked a bit more with every like, the walls of reality close in on you a little further. Are we inside a fishbowl, or are we building that fishbowl with our own hands every day? Do not be afraid to seek the truth, because awakening begins the moment you notice the first crack in that great lie you were told. If you want to see the other pieces of this grand puzzle, what Admiral Byrd found beyond the ice and that great secret in Antarctica, be sure to watch my previous videos. Remember, the system only wants you to look. We enable you to see. Stay awake.